Now, from now on, let's start presentation. Uh, Presentation title is a study on the teaching practice experience of a prospective Korean language teacher. First, introduction. The purpose of this study is to think about the possibility of providing better practicum opportunities for prospective Korean language teacher. To this end, by paying attention to what they experienced and what they think about the experience during their Korean language education practicum, I would like to examine what their experiences mean to Korean language educator. To become a Korean language teacher, you must complete a major course, and at the last stage of completing the curriculum, students take the Korean language education practicum course. Then you will be equipped with the qualities required as a prospective Korean language teacher in the field of Korean language education. In other words, the prospective Korean language teacher will practice applying the information related to various Korean language teaching and learning learned in the course completion process to the educational field through Korean language education practicum. Anyone who majors in Korean language education will experience education practicum. While some prospective teachers have a positive and active attitude toward becoming a Korean language teacher after practicing through good hands-on experience, there are others who are skeptical of becoming a Korean language teacher by having an experience completely different from what they had imagined. Therefore, if we look at the various experiences that prospective Korean language teachers have in the course of a practicum, they will be able to help them grow into competent professional teachers in the future. Second, teacher training. Teaching practice is an important way for prospective teachers to actually acquire educational activities in the field of education. In general, this is done through the process of participating in actual educational activities for a set period of time after completing certain subject in the education department of college of education or general college or a university where the teaching professional is installed. Practical training provides experience to applying the principle of pedagogy in the relationship between instructor and learners in real classroom situations. In addition, it has an important meaning in that it provides an opportunity to evaluate and improve all results encountered in uncomfortable situation and classroom situation after training. Prospective teachers need to learn the teaching skills belongs to various categories in order to apply the theory to the field as well as the theoretical of what and how to teach to learners. Anderson, 1983, Anderson tries to explain the effect of practice in a cognitive aspect based on the basic principle of behavioralist psychology, which believed that our basic behaviors of teachers and the teaching process were learned through practice. Anderson's teacher function learning model emphasized how teachers learn the process of teaching and learning through field experiences in the field. His ACT is adaptive control of thought. His ACT model describes the development process of teacher function from the moment of becoming a teacher for the first time to becoming a teacher who enters an autonomous stage. The novice teacher in the first stage may have very weak copying skills, even in situations that requires the teacher's own pedagogical and linguistic knowledge, as well as the skill to uh, copy with dynamic and psychological situations occurring in the classroom. In this case, it is difficult to expert the copying function of how to deal with the students' errors in the novice teachers. The process of these new roles can only be achieved through continuous learning. Upon reaching the associative stage, the second stage of instructional skills, the teacher begins to incorporate many different individual processes that occurs in different situations into a larger unit. In problem-solving situations, verbal explanation are reduced while intuitive and automatic responses being to be established. At the final stage, the autonomous stage, the teacher can apply the cultivated behavior to individual situations without conscious control. Even at this stage, verbal explanation or intentional control of the sub-functions necessary for the teaching situation are hardly necessary, and algorithm required for teaching are only needed at the beginning stage of teaching. If the teacher's teaching skill development process shown in the skill acquisitions model presented above is applied to the prospective teacher's educational practice course. The prospective teachers need to consciously learn about the teaching process and the field situations they will experience newly. In addition, the importance of practice should be emphasized in the initial stage of learning about how to teach, and the field training should be viewed as a necessary process to convert the learned rules and theories into effective teaching. And the research related to Korean language education practice so far is as follows. Most these studies are about the current status and the problems of the Korean language education practice course operation and the method to solve the problems and the educational contents of the practice course. In order to train professional teachers, it is necessary to discuss subject and the programs. However, there is a limit to identifying problems and improving the prospective teacher training process only through subject and the program research. Therefore, it is important to pay attention to the various experience of prospective teachers in the teacher training process. And in the process, it is necessary to check what their experiences and thought have implications for Korean language educator and the Korean language teacher training institutions. Next, method. First, data. The, data. the data used in this study are testimonials from prospective Korean language teachers who participated in the Korean language education practicum in the course of the academic credit bank system at the Lifelong Education Center of A University in Busan. Educational practice runs for 15 weeks and 1 semester and consists of theory lectures, class observation, lesson plan writing, and class demonstration. If you submit the practice report in the 15th week, the contents of the class observation report, lesson plan writing practice materials, class demonstration plan, and the training practice review will be included in the practice report. The reviews of educational practice that were analyzed in this study are 50 data included in the practice report submitted after completing the education practice in the second semester of 2020 and the first semester of 2021. Next, participants. 50 prospective Korean language teachers participated in this study. To become Korean language teachers, they are completing the Korean language education majored in the undergraduate course. Undergraduate course is academic credit bank system and have no field experience in Korean language education. The basic information about the study participants is shown in table 1 below. Gender, male 10, female 14, total 50. Age, major. Major is Korean language education. Instrument. In this study, data analysis was attempted using NBIVA 12, a qualitative research program. NBIV 12 is an optimized tool to clean up non-uniform date, and the model date, which is useful for recalling and reporting information related to questions researchers have in the course of their research. NBIV 12 is a research tool optimized for qualitative research among ongoing programs. Next, precise and the data analysis. The contents of the impressions of the educational practice were mostly about class observation, practice writing, class guidance, and class demonstration. In addition, there were complaints or difficulties in the entire educational practice process, and fears about the Korean language education field as a prospective teacher were also reported. Result. First, class observation. Class observation is a process in which prospective teachers experience the actual class of Korean language teachers together in the classroom. Class observation is usually conducted at a Korean language education institution. Korean language institution and is language school. However, if you cannot observe the class in person, you see the video of the actual class and write a class observation report. The class observation time was conducted by watching the video of the 12th class for 4 weeks. The contents of the observation report recorded the attitude of the teacher, the appropriateness of the teaching method, the reaction of the student. In addition, class contents, class preparation, and observation evaluation were prepared. The students thought on the class observation experience as follows. Yeah, next. Lesson plan writing practice. The lesson plan writing practice was conducted 5 times per semester, and after writing the lesson plan according to a set topic, it was submitted to the professor in charge. The submitted lesson plan will receive feedback, and the second lesson plan will be prepared by reflecting the contents of the first feedback. It is the most difficult process for the student of the training practice to practice writing the lesson plan. Most of these students did not receive training on how to write a lesson plan while completing the major curriculum, and the most of cases were the first to prepare a lesson plan during the training course. The most common contents reported in the educational practice testimonials was the difficulty in writing the instructional plan. The students thought on the experience of writing a lesson plan as follows. Yeah. First, second, third. Yeah. I started writing the lesson plan with joy at first, but I felt it was really difficult while writing the plan. While writing the lesson plan, I was worried about whether I would be able to demonstrate the lesson. While writing the lesson plan, I realized that teaching Korean language, which I normally use naturally to non-Korean, is more difficult than I thought. Okay, next. A class demonstration. Class demonstration was conducted once, and in some cases, foreign students participated in the class. For the class demonstration, 15 minutes class instruction plan was prepared, and the actual class demonstration was held for 15 or 20 minutes. After the class demonstration, the professor in charge provided feedback on the class demonstration. The feedback content was centered on class preparation, the overall composition of the class materials, and their utterance, teacher utterance. The testimonials mainly focused on the difficulties or fears experienced while preparing and conducting the class demonstration. In addition, new information learned through the feedback process and dissatisfaction were reported. The student thought on the classroom demonstration experience as follows. When I actually took the class, I realized that what I asked was confidence. I knew that it should be structured to motivate the learners, make them practice with interest, and enable learners to utilize the contents. Next, conclusion. Teaching activity is said to be a complex decision-making process based on category, including knowledge, skill, attitude, and awareness. If it is divided into upper and low categories, knowledge and skill are divided into lower categories, and attitude and perception are divided into upper categories. The knowledge category corresponds to the something of the teaching activity and is knowledge about subject, learning, and the learners, and the social cultural background. The skill category is the technique of the teaching activity. All of these contents are included in the undergraduate curriculum for the Korean language education major. The Korean language education practice subjects are related to the field and should guide the teacher training and the development. The most basic strategies in the teacher education process are training and the development. Training strategies play a very important role in the initial stage of teacher education, especially in the curriculum of prospective teachers, and the most of the training time is used to train teachers with the necessary knowledge and skill. As it is said that the quality of teachers determines the quality of education. Teachers are educators rather than just teachers. And he is a person who practices based on theoretical understanding. Therefore, it is expected that it will be possible to understand the difficulties that prospective Korean language teachers face in the course of education and practice and come up with measures to improve the quality of education and practice in order to train them to become professional Korean language teacher. Thank you for listening to my presentation.